Hello, everyone, and welcome to 0 to 0, a pointless football podcast for fans and non-fans alike. Where we pit someone who knows a little bit about football, that would be me, Fixxxer, against someone who knows absolutely nothing about football and could talk for... I didn't time it last week. What was it, Tulkas? The Vikings-Eagles game.
You mean the narrative? The narrative is probably good minute and a half.
Who could probably talk for a minute and a half and about a fight between the Vikings and the Eagles?
Rejoice!
That's the intro. That was the intro. The musical jingle. Have you listened to any of our podcasts yet?
No.
Alright, well that was the musical jingle.
Wait, is the musical jingle Rejoice?
No, it's a song.
Is it like... Okay, I will listen to it then. I like songs.
And the person providing the illogical arguments is Tulkas. How are you doing this week, Tulkas?
Oh, so I talked over the jingle.
Well, yes, but through the magic of editing, I can stop that.
Ooh, that's cool. Someday I want to be the one to sing the jingle, okay? Next week, I sing the jingle, okay?
If you haven't listened, you don't even know what the song is.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk last week. I had a pretty good week last week. I had 11 games predicted correctly. Tulkas, you came in second with 6. How does that make you feel?
Hey, I got second place. Woo!
Yeah?
Second place.
Well done, well done. And you know what they say, the second mouse gets the cheese.
Ooh, why do they say that? Oh, what is it? Because like the first mouse gets like eaten, but then like the second mouse doesn't get eaten?
Well, yeah, the first mouse pretty much gets his neck snapped, right?
That's not very nice.
That's the way the world works. The first mouse gets its neck snapped.
That's horrible.
All right,
Who's snapping the neck?
On to the week 6. We're in week 6, I think, right?
Who's doing the snapping? Tell me who's doing the snapping. I want to hurt them.
The mousetrap. What are you talking about?
Okay, I'm gonna.
All right, so the bye week. Detroit Lions and New Orleans Saints have byes this week. Drew Brees passed Peyton Manning last week in the all-time passing yards list. He is now the leading passing yards person in NFL history. How do you feel about that?
Oh yeah, I heard about that on my break at work. The ESPN channel was talking about that, and I was like, ooh, I don't know what it means, but ooh.
He's thrown the ball for more yards than anybody else ever.
Ooh, but Peyton Manning used to be first, my hero. Did you know there's a children's hospital near here named after him? He gave them like $1 million, and they're called like the Peyton Manning Children's Hospital. And my sociology teacher in high school liked to rant about how he didn't give them enough money.
Oh, well, I mean, to be fair, he probably could have afforded more money, but to actually write about something like that seems kind of.
And there's like the whole thing about how like, oh, he like his house in Indianapolis, he spent like $3 million to build a wall around the property. It was like, ooh, this I don't know. She was a strange sociology teacher.
Look, I've had death threats against me, and I'm a lowly YouTuber. You can imagine what shit happens against Peyton Manning.
Wait, you've had death threats? I want to hear about the death threats.
Yes, I've had multiple death threats over the years.
Tell me more. I'm not
going to tell you more.
This is so cool. You get death threats. Can I give you a death threat, please? How about unless you play Moonlighter in Polish, I will stab out your eyes with a rusty fork, and then that rust will slowly like infect you with like whatever. What's the disease you get from rust? Don't you get like a disease from rust?
I don't play Rust. I don't understand everybody's fascination with Rust.
Rust disease is common rust fungus. I don't know. There's some kind of yeah. I'm not doing very well today. I'm sorry.
I thought you were talking about the Rust video game.
No. Rust like the fork that I stab your eyes out has iron oxide on it, and then it's gonna like stab you, and then like it gets infected. And I thought there was like some disease that you got from touching rust, but I think I'm
are you talking like tetanus?
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. Tetanus. Yeah, you're gonna get tetanus. The tetanus is gonna kill you.
Other things can give you tetanus. I remember I got a spider bite that they thought was from a brown recluse, and they gave me a tetanus shot for it.
Well, yeah, but I've given you a death threat now. How does that make you feel?
Well, at the end of the podcast, I'm reporting you to police.
Yay!
All right, how about we talk about some football here? The first game, Thursday night, the Philadelphia Eagles. Are you whistling? What is that?
That was the fire engine.
Oh, so you're okay. Well, Philadelphia Eagles are playing at the New York Giants. So the Vikings found a way to beat the Eagles' top run defense, and surely the Giants are going to want to try to copy that with Barkley. Wentz had another good day. I don't see him having any problems throughout the season. He'll just get better and better as he heals from his injury, I think. They did lose Ajayi for the season to an ACL tear. Rumor is that they're inquiring about the price of Le'Veon Bell. I doubt that happens, as it would require Bell to sign his tender, which he is not going to do. I'm not sure they could even fit him under the cap anyways. Fletcher Cox restructured his contract, though, which tells you that they are looking for somebody to acquire for the running back position. My money's on LaShawn McCoy and not Le'Veon Bell, but I guess we'll see. The Giants, they put up a good fight against the Panthers last week. Odell Beckham had a nice trick play pass for a touchdown to Barkley. Expect maybe more of this against the Eagles to avoid the run defense. I expect Barkley to have a pretty big game, really. But the Eagles, they're down. They're 2-3 and are in danger of putting themselves in a hole that might be too big to get out of. I don't see the Eagles putting themselves in that hole. Don't be surprised if the Giants pull it off, but I'm going with the Eagles while they're cornered. How about you?
So why is the bellman signing his tenders?
He won't sign his tender. So basically, he was franchise tagged by the Steelers, which means it puts some restrictions on him signing contracts. And in order for him to be traded to the Eagles, he would have to sign that tender. And the problem is he feels he is worth more money than what the tender is. So in order for him to be traded to the Eagles, he has to sign the tender, which he definitely won't do. And everybody's saying it's going to happen, and I don't understand why everybody thinks it's going to happen.
Okay. I don't understand what just happened, but the Vikings won last week. The narrative was correct, and I think Fixxxer predicted that the Eagles would win, but the Vikings won.
No, I predicted the Vikings would win.
Oh, well, I was extra smart, so woo! Also, if the Ajax man has truly been torn by the American Classical League, surely he will return a more astute warrior, will he not, Fixxxer TV?
Yes, but it won't be until next year.
Yes, but he will be astute. Regardless, this matchup reminds me of the end of Into the Woods, where, spoilers, Cinderella calls upon the birds to blind the Lady Giant so Jack and the baker can strike from behind and kill her. Now, in this scenario, we are particularly lacking the force that strikes from behind. However, perhaps the Giants will blunder into each other and do the jobs themselves, so I predict that the Eagles will win! Woo!
All right, next up, the Chicago Bears are playing at the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins started strong last week. They were up 14-0 over the Bengals before they completely imploded and gave up 24 points in the fourth quarter. Everyone shares blame. The offense stalled out. The defense was non-existent. Tough issues to have going into a week playing against the Bears, which seems to be a pretty hot team. And they had an extra week to prepare since they were on a bye last week. Look for Khalil Mack to continue his dominating season, and possibly Jordan Howard having a good game too. There are rumors that Jordan Howard is on the trading block. I can't see that happening, especially considering how well the Bears are playing. But that's another name that's been rumored to go to Philadelphia. I don't see it happening though. Anyways, Bears win.
That's how I told you it would go down. The Dolphins would get off to a good start before the inability to relieve the water would catch up to them, and they would go down to the Bengals rating. Remember last week, Fixxxer, when I told you about the Bengals would swim? The Bengals swam. I was right. Woo! Regardless, according to Mother Nature. according to the Mother Nature Network, which is a Galaxia equivalent, North American black bears like to swim. If there is water where they live, they will exploit it for food. Since bears like to hunt fish, they are not shy of water. In fact, their baby cubs take to the water quickly. So this will be the same situation as last week, exactly the same thing. The Bears are going to win. It's happened before. It's going to happen again. Woo!
So your little story here about the baby bears in the water, this kind of calls into the myth of the sleeping bear, right?
I don't know.
Well,
would you like to tell the viewers this myth of the sleeping bear? I mean, obviously I know what it is, but if there's anyone out there that doesn't know, we need to work for them.
Well, it's an old Native American myth, but it happened on Lake Michigan, which is friends with Chicago, is it not?
I don't know. I think that Chicago probably pollutes Lake Michigan. So
that's a good point. Lake Michigan doesn't like Chicago. Yeah.
No, they probably don't like each other now.
So the story goes that a mother bear and her 2 cubs were in Wisconsin, and they were being pushed back by war, I think it was, and fires. So they took to Lake Michigan to swim to Michigan to escape from this. And the cubs could not keep up with the mother bear. And the mother bear left the cubs behind, reached the shore, and she turned to see that her cubs were not there. And she waited for them, and she waited and waited until she died. And that is why Sleeping Bear Dunes in northern Michigan got its name. It's named after the sleeping bear who waited for her cubs. And the myth goes that the 2 cubs are what became, in order to, I don't remember which god it was, but one of the gods rewarded the bear and her cubs by turning the 2 drowned cubs into the islands of North and South Manitou Island in Lake Michigan.
Maybe the god was Odin.
It was not. Odin is not a very popular Native American god, Tulkas.
Maybe it was. By the way, there are people across the street cutting down a tree. So sorry if you can hear that. I don't know what bear it was, but okay, that's cool.
So you're saying the Bears are going to win?
Yeah.
I agree. All right, next up.
The Bengals beat the Dolphins last week, and the Bear, they're a similar kind of animal. They're just going to do the same thing, staying stretchy. Worked once, it's going to work again. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yo.
I concur. Arizona Cardinals at the Minnesota Vikings. Went early Sunday game. Josh Rosen didn't exactly have the best of games, but he didn't turn the ball over either, which is pretty much what they need him to do. He threw a touchdown on his first snap, and it's kind of all he really did. They beat the 49ers on their defense, scoring a touchdown, and David Johnson have a couple of touchdowns, even though overall David Johnson didn't have the greatest of games. The Vikings, they played a decent game against the struggling Eagles team. Cousins was 30 for 38, 1 touchdown, 1 fumble. Adam Thielen had another 100-yard game. Became the first wide receiver ever to start the season with 5 straight 100-yard games. How about those apples?
Yeah. I thought Peter Thiel was the co-founder of PayPal.
Probably. And of course, the play of the season so far. Did you see it, Tulkas?
No.
Linval Joseph grabbing a fumble, and he ran 64 yards for the touchdown, sparking a bunch of memes. So this guy, you thought what?
I thought it said grabbing a female.
It does not.
That would have sparked more memes, I think.
Most likely. So this is a 330-pound guy, and he reached 18 miles per hour during this run.
Whoa.
I mean, you say whoa, but that's pretty impressive. It's pretty interesting how, these linemen, they all are huge dudes, and they look fat, but they are still athletes. So I think people forget that. I'm looking for Danielle Hunter and the Vikings to crush Josh Rosen. Vikings win, but if the Cardinals defense play like they did last week and Minnesota's offensive line remains awful, it might be closer than people expect. But I'm still going with the Vikings.
Yeah, I think that, the Cardinals will be far from home. Well, their original home in Indiana and then their adopted home in Arizona and a whole like different Minnesota world. It's probably going to be like snow and stuff because who even knows about Minnesota? I mean, it's just a weird state. Like if all out of all the states, I think Minnesota is probably one of the weirdest, if not the weirdest. Which state do you think is the weirdest, Fixxxer TV?
Well, generally speaking, I think most people would say Florida because of the Florida Man meme.
Minnesota's weirder.
To be
Anyway.
fair to Florida, the Florida Man meme is a little bit of a what's the word I'm looking for?
It's overdone because they have a law that makes the after the Florida men they commit the crime, it has to be reported to the media, which means that there are a lot of crimes that are reported in Florida to the media that in other states would not necessarily be reported to the media, and that biases the crazy stuff in favor of the country of Brian at youtube.com/4on111.
There you go. So yes, Florida has a law that all crimes have to be reported, and therefore the media can have a field day reporting them. And this doesn't exist. I don't think it exists in any other state. It might, maybe Las Vegas, or not Las Vegas, Nevada. Maybe Nevada. I think there's one other state that has this law, but apparently the people aren't as crazy. So it can't be Nevada because the people in Nevada are crazy.
Okay. So anyway, the Cardinals are going to be fighting in Minnesota. And I mean, like, what are they going to do to the Vikings? Like really, what are they going to do? Are they going to, like, peck at them? The Vikings, they have, like, armor. They have, like, no shields. The Cardinals swoop in, and you just heft the shield, and the Cardinal goes splat into the shield. So, I mean, I really feel like the Vikings are going to win. The Cardinals are one of these teams, like the Browns, where I just struggle to see how they can apply themselves in the military sense. It's beyond me. I don't know.
Yeah, I concur. Indianapolis Colts at the New York Jets. So apparently I was wrong about the Jets, or at least last week I was. Sam Darnold played pretty well against a defense that slowed down the Chiefs, so you got to give credit where it's deserved. He wasn't exactly slinging it. He only had 200 yards, but he tossed 3 touchdowns. And their running backs ruffle stomped the Broncos like badly. Pretty crazy. Denver's got a good defense. They destroyed them. Anyways, Andrew Luck, he threw for 365 yards. He had 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Their running game didn't do much against New England, and their defense got a tad beat up as well. I think we will see a repeat here. Colts running game will struggle versus the Jets, but I think Andrew Luck will have a decent day. I don't see Sam Darnold doing enough to pull out a win here. If Isaiah Crowell has another game, they can most definitely win, but he won't. And I say Colts win.
If the Colts can't run during the game, as you said, their running game didn't amount for much. Like, that's the whole thing about the Colts. They're baby horses. All they're doing, or more adolescent horses, I don't know. They're like, they're running. This is what they do. This is what horses do. They run. If they can't run, then what are they doing? And I mean, how can they dodge the missiles of the Jets if they can't run? Especially in New York, where, like the streets, they'll just funnel the horses down the streets, and the Jets will have the straight shot, and the Colts will be forced into unfamiliar urban terrain. It's going to be cray. So though it thickens my heart, I fear I must give the Jets the victory. Alas, alas. But then if the Colts win, if Fixxxer guesses that the Colts will win, and I guess that the Jets will win, then
that's a paradox.
I mean, that would be awful. But I mean, I have to go with what I believe. I'm sorry. Oh, I don't know what to do, Fixxxer. Fixxxer, help me.
Too late. You've already put it in the spreadsheet. Jets win. Moving on.
Get the spreadsheet.
It says right here, I must give the Jets the victory. Too late. We're moving on. Pittsburgh Steelers at the Cincinnati Bengals. Big Ben had 250 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception in beating the Falcons. Connor had a good game as well. They need him to play well to pull out some wins over the next couple weeks before Bell gets here. Although I don't know what Bell's role is going to be once he returns. Lots of people are suggesting he should fake an injury to not play, but I guess we'll see. The Bengals, they got Mixon back, and they needed that. He put up just under 100 yards. Their defense was pretty key into beating the Dolphins. And they're going to need guys to step it up again if they want to beat the Steelers. It's going to be a tough game. I think the Bengals have been playing pretty well this year. I think a lot of people are going to pick the Steelers, though, but I'm going to stick with the Bengals. As long as they can keep Dalton off his back and neutralize TJ Watt, I know that's easier said than done, but I think they can do it. I'm picking the Bengals.
Can you hear the people cutting down the tree, Fixxxer?
No.
Oh, that's good. Really?
I definitely heard the sirens, though, but I don't hear the chopping.
Cool. Giddy up. Ooh. So this battle this week, it reminds me, okay, it's the Battle of Salamis, right, Fixxxer? Are you familiar with the Battle of Salamis?
Oh, intimately.
Cool, tell us about it.
No, I don't want to steal your thunder.
Okay, cool. So the Persians were marching on Athens by land. So my boy Themistocles, he got everyone to abandon the city and flee to the island of Salamis. Whereupon the Persians burned the city, and there were a few people in the city. They tried to fight them, so then they burned the people, the whole thing. And then they were all arrogant. But then Themistocles, unbeknownst to the rest of the Greeks, sent them a messenger being all like, everyone's running away, come kill them before they can. So Xerxes was all like, wah! And the Ionians were like, wah! And Artemisia was like, go power! And Leonidas was like, I'm dead! And Themistocles was like, I'm going to compare the better and lesser elements in human nature and the human condition, and then be kind of greedy, but also lauded as the wisest man of the Greeks. And he got ostracized later. It's pretty cool. And then the Persians were like, the Steelers, but only if the Bengals can bear to abandon the progeny of my other boy Cincinnatus, and finally shout out to my third and final boy Herodotus, and also Artemisia, give me the fourth boy, but she's a girl, so it's not fair. And Fixxxer, I put a link here that you can put in the video description in case our viewers want to read about this battle from Herodotus himself. Woo!
That did not give me an answer.
Yes, it did.
Does that mean Cincinnati will win?
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, if they're willing to abandon Cincinnati, but I think that they can do that. You know, the Cincinnatians, you know, they can go over into Indiana. You know, we Hoosiers will protect them as if they were one of our own.
It's very kind of the Hoosiers.
Yeah, we Hoosiers. You know, it's Hoosier values, man. There's no way like the Indiana way. Woo-woo!
Carolina Panthers at the Washington Redskins. Alex Smith looked pretty rough against the Saints last week. To be fair, they were playing from behind, so they had to throw the ball all game long. Their running game was completely dead. But definitely didn't look like the Alex Smith of old, did it?
No. Alex Smith, like back in the day, Alex Smith, the Mythland legend, he was like the Mike Pence of NFL.
Oh my God. The Panthers, they squeezed out a victory with a last-second field goal against the Giants. Their offense stalled out several times, setting up for 4 field goals. Probably can expect the same thing against the Redskins. Look for Gano to have another good day. Panthers win.
Did the Saints manage to win with Saint Kateri Tekakwitha?
They did indeed.
Whoa! This is kind of a toss-up. Both teams are qualified at stealthily moving through terrain and ambushing and stuff. But the Redskins, they know their turf, so I guess the Redskins will win because they know what's up. They know what's up. They're the Redskins. They can do it. Woo-woo!
Fair enough. Los Angeles Chargers at the Cleveland Browns. So the Browns won a defensive fight against the Ravens last week. Mayfield wasn't spectacular, but he's still learning. He looks the part. I think he'll be fine going forward. Their defense got stops when it needed to, and they won in overtime on a field goal. They're looking for their first winning streak in who knows how long, 2-3 years? I don't know what it is. But it's going to be tough against the Chargers. Rivers is quietly having a great season, and the Chargers beat the Raiders last week. I think they'll struggle a bit against the Browns' defensive line, but Rivers can handle it, and I think he'll spread the ball around. It'll be a close game. I think the Chargers will pull through, though, and deny the Browns a winning streak.
How many games have the Chargers won so far total?
I want to say 4.
Interesting.
Wait, what's their current record? Oh my God. Da da
da. Zisto.
Oh no, they lost to the Rams and the Chiefs. They're 3-2, but in their defense, they lost against probably the 2 best teams in football.
Okay. That's cool. So I think I predicted that the Rams and the Chiefs would beat them, so go me. But, usually when we think about the Chargers going into battle, the question is, how well will their opponent be able to dodge the charge? Because, they put all their effort, all their punch into this one powerful charge, and if they're able to ram home, they can just scatter their enemy. But if the enemy is able to dodge and...
You cut out, Tulkas. Tulkas?
Really?
Yeah.
Hello?
All right, I hear you now.
Okay, that's cool. Okay. So...
They're able to dodge.
Yeah. So if the enemy teams are able to dodge, then the Chargers, they're going to swoop around and hit the Chargers from behind, and then they are equipped with lances. They don't really do well close up. So yeah. However, it's different this week, and as we can see, this is usually happening. The Chargers have lost more than they won because they're gambling it all on this one big hit, but usually that doesn't pull through. However, this week, they're charging the Browns, and Browns, they're like all muddy and stuff. It's this big glob of mud. They can't dodge. It's a glob of mud. Mud doesn't dodge. So the Chargers will probably be able to connect with their charge. So then the question is, will this big blob of mud that is brown be able to have enough inertia to withstand the charge, or will the charge sort of scatter it all across the arena? And I don't know. I think that, the Chargers, I don't know, it's pretty difficult. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
We will see, but you got to make a pick.
I'm going to tentatively give it to the Chargers. I think that, they have this powerful charge, and I've been playing with a navy blue colored pencil, and I just broke it in half. That's sad. But, giving it to the Chargers.
All right, moving on. Tampa Bay Buccaneers are at the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons' hype train is officially dead. They are 1-4 after a loss to the Steelers last week. Matt Ryan didn't exactly play horrible, but they had no running game to speak of, though that is partly due to playing from behind all game. This defense sure as hell isn't the same. They've given up too many points over the season, and they're about to face Fitzmagic.
Fitzmagic!
Or are they?
Ooh.
It looks like the Buccaneers are benching Fitzmagic, and they're going to play Winston after their bye week this week.
Winston Smith?
Jameis Winston.
Is it Winston Smith?
Yes, it's Winston Smith.
Wow.
The Falcons are desperate. Everyone is going to pick the Bucs. Falcons are at home. I think they can pull it together here with Winston being maybe a little rusty. Falcons win, but I swear to God, Tulkas, if the Falcons screw me one more time, I'm done. I'm done picking them for the rest of the season.
Well, this is a pretty... this battle is pretty similar to I think it was the Vikings versus the Cardinals, and we gave the Vikings the win in this game. However, if the Buccaneers are playing Winston Smith, Winston Smith probably isn't the best pick. The whole brainwashing in Minitru, and he's just sitting at this cafe that all the washed up old enemies of the regime are at, crying because he loves Big Brother. What's he gonna do? He's just gonna get run over, this lanky little dude. Come on. I suppose, okay, he probably has to do workouts every day as part of the, morning routine that they all have to do it in front of the telescreens. But I just can't see lanky old Winston Smith really doing it. So normally I would probably pick the Buccaneers to win, but I'm going to give it the Falcons.
Gotcha. All right, next up, the Buffalo Bills are playing at the Houston Texans. The Bills are this season's anomaly, the epitome of any given Sunday. I don't even know how to look at them. They beat a hot Titans team last week, 13-12. Nothing about the game was pretty except maybe parts of their defense. Texans beat the Cowboys in overtime on the back of Deshaun Watson. Watson seems to be getting a lot of criticism this year, but he seems to be putting up some good numbers. Their offensive line is still trash. It's always trash. It always will be trash. It'll be trash all year long. Yet he still somehow puts up some decent numbers. I don't know how to pick the Bills, though, Tulkas. I don't. I can't. I think I'll just go with J.J. Watt terrorizing the Bills' offensive line and the Texans winning.
Yeah, I also think that, Texans versus, it's pretty, your classic Cowboys versus Indians. And I think usually, historically, the Cowboys probably won that. So I'm also going to give it to the Texans. I don't know.
Okay. Okay. Next up, we're moving on to Sunday afternoon games. The Los Angeles Rams at the Denver Broncos. Man, did the Broncos choke against the Jets. Lots of blame is going on Keenum, and I guess he deserves some of it. He isn't exactly playing terribly well, but this defense got rocked by a rookie last week. There's no excuse for that. None of what I said is what you want to hear, knowing you're going to be playing the Rams this week. So the Rams, they came from behind to beat the Seahawks. I expected a blowout, but the Rams sure showed some vulnerability in the air and on the ground.
Wait, the Rams can fly?
Yes, the Rams
that changes
can fly.
Everything.
Yes, these Rams can fly.
Why haven't you told me this before? I didn't know we had flying Rams.
Yeah, not only that, they can fly pretty well.
And I know you said last time that like the Buccaneers can fly, or like a few weeks ago. Wait, so the Rams? Whoa, okay,
that changes some things, right?
Why did you take? Okay, if Fixxxer wins this challenge, it's going to be because he kept this information from me. I mean, the Rams being able to fly changes so much. Like, oh.
Yep. All right. So, anyways, where was I? The teams are going to be studying that game as a blueprint and how to beat the Rams. Even though the Seahawks didn't beat them, there was enough there, I think, for teams to copy off of. Anyways, they'll still beat the Broncos. They'll remain undefeated. In fact, I don't think they're going to see a big challenge from anybody for probably another month until they face the Saints. That'll be a good game. Barring an injury, I expect them to go 8-0 during that span. They'll beat the Broncos. Rams win.
Yeah. So yeah, the Rams can fly. Yeah. If the Rams can fly, I mean, if they couldn't fly, I'd be like, oh, the Broncos can like dodge out of the way. But I mean, if the Rams can fly, they can just like, turn around. I mean, what's the Broncos going to do? They're going to be on like their bulls, riding their bulls around, be like, yeah.
Yep, that's very true.
Like the Rams, they have to win. I mean, they're flying. They have all the power of a ram and all the mobility of flight. Like, how can they lose, Fixxxer? Tell me, how can they lose?
Well, one of the Rams wide receivers, one that can fly, his name is Cooper Kupp. Do you think a Kupp should be able to fly? Or is he perhaps a ball and chain holding them back?
I think Cupps can fly. You can have flying Cupps. Why can't a Cup fly? I think that a Cup can do anything it wants to do, and if you're going to try to deny the Cup, then that's just discriminatory.
All right, so Rams win then.
Yeah.
Jacksonville Jaguars are at the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys offense struggled last week versus J.J. Watt and the Texans defense. Their yards per carry was way too low. Dak had pressure most of the game. They got to fix that offensive line. I can't pick them against the Jags while they're playing like this. The Jaguars, they let Kansas City put up 30 points on them last week. Just like the Vikings, they seem vulnerable to tight ends and slot receivers. This won't be an issue, though, against the Cowboys. Jags will win.
So you love Texas, don't you, Fixxxer?
I do not.
Okay, so Texas is your favorite state in the world?
It is not.
Okay, so what kind of terrain is there around Dallas?
Dallas is fairly flat. You don't get into mountainous Texas until you get to like the west side.
So yeah, I mean, the Jaguars, they excel in hiding in the forest and trying to keep up, creep up on their enemies. But if it's flat, I mean, the Cowboys, they can just ride around, galloping, being like,
the terrain is flat, but it is an urban jungle.
Yeah, an urban jungle, but still, I mean, how much urbanness is there? Really, how much urbanness? I mean, how urban can Dallas be? I mean, it's called Dallas. Like, Dallas
is a pretty big city. Although it's not the biggest in its own state, so I guess there's criticism deserved.
I once knew a girl called Dallas.
My neighbor growing up was named Dallas.
Yeah. Her nickname was Salad because it's Dallas backwards. And I stopped being in contact with her after she made a Facebook status going on about how much she loved murdering prairie dogs. But yeah, I'm going to say the Cowboys will win.
Okay. Diesel will be very happy with you. You know, that's his team.
Oh, my little Diesel. Oh, I need to think up a pet name for Diesel.
Although, don't get too excited. Diesel did suggest you picked the Cowboys last week and they lost, so he cost you a point.
Oh, but he's my little Diesel. I need to think of a name for him. Dieselkins, Diesellian, D's nuts, D's. Help me, Fixxxer.
Don't kill yourself. I think we should move on to the Baltimore Ravens.
No. We need to get a name for Diesel. We need to get a name for Diesel. Tell me any name. Tell me any name for Diesel.
Don't force it. You got a full week to have one by next podcast.
Okay, cool.
Baltimore Ravens at the Tennessee Titans. The hot Titans lost to the Bills last week. They just couldn't muster enough offense. They'll probably have the same issue this week versus the Ravens, who lost 12-9 to the Browns. Expect another defensive fight here. I'm looking for Collins to have a good day running the ball, and the Ravens will win.
So first of all, everyone type in the comments below what you think my pet name for the Eagles should be. So this is pretty similar to the battle between the Eagles and the Giants from earlier. And I gave the Eagles the victory because I thought like the Giants would stumble into each other. And this is even more polarized because, you know, Ravens are even smaller and more able to peck out the eyes, and the Titans are even larger. And you know what they say, Fixxxer? Do you know what they say?
What do they say?
They say the bigger they are, the harder they fall.
Or is it the taller they are? The farther they fall.
I think it's bigger. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it's just pretty. I don't know. The Ravens are. I don't know. You think the Ravens will win? And I mean, Fixxxer knows what's up. I mean, you know what's up, don't you, Fixxxer?
I pretend to.
Yeah, I think that the Ravens, they're going to swoop in, bat out their eyes, and then maybe they'll peck in their ears, and they'll have like blood dripping down from their ears. What's the grossest imagery you can imagine?
Grossest I can imagine or have seen.
Have seen. Ooh, this will be a cool story.
I've seen some gross stuff, I suppose. I saw a bone come clean out of a dude's leg before.
Whoa. When? Tell me the context.
I was at a fair. I don't remember how old I was, maybe 10 or 12. And it was a family friend. I was there with my family, and this dude and his wife were there. They didn't have any kids. But someone else's kid ran into the street with cars coming. He stepped into the street, grabbed the kid. He turned to come back onto the sidewalk, but his lower leg did not. And the bone just popped right on out.
Whoa, yep. That's so cool. Yep. Whoa.
I saw it bulging under the jeans, and he pulled the jeans up, and the bone was just like, yo.
If there are any budding animators
I've seen something grosser than that, actually.
Oh, well, tell.
I was maybe 10 years old or so, and I was playing in the woods behind my house with a few friends, and one of my friends, in fact, this involved the aforementioned Dallas. Dallas had a brother, and they were kind of both troublemakers. The Dallas more so, he was the younger brother. It was a typical brother relationship. The younger one was a little annoying and pestering of the old one, and the old one treated the young one as the redheaded stepchild of the family, that type of thing. So we're playing in the woods behind the house, and in the woods there's like this ditch that goes along everybody's yard, and generally what all the people had in the neighborhood is a little bridge that crossed the ditch, and everybody had their own. Well, we were playing back there. Little brother tackled big brother, whose head landed on a nail sticking out of the bridge. Ow. And yes, and he got up and blood was gushing out of his head. And he survived. So that was, I'll never forget the chunk of head that was literally flapping as blood was squirting out of his head. Hey, you asked for it, man.
Whoa.
Am I going to have to put a not safe for work warning on a podcast now?
Well, what, did the little brother get in trouble?
He did not.
Really? Why not?
Because it was just kid horseplay, I guess. I don't know.
Huh. Interesting.
It was an accident. It wasn't malicious or anything. It was just an accident.
If any budding animators in our audience want to animate these two scenes, I will pay you $30 or more, depending on the quality. There you go.
Wow.
And then we'll put it on we can like have a whole animated series. Fixxxer's 10 years old traumatic experiences, the series. That will be fun.
So Ravens win then, right?
Yeah.
All right, the Kansas City Chiefs are playing at the New England Patriots in the Sunday night football game. And just a note, I did skip over one early game, and that's because it's the featured game. I do the featured games last. Anyways, Kansas City Chiefs at the New England Patriots. Last week, Tom Brady threw for his 500th touchdown in his win versus the Colts, and to Josh Gordon, no less. I think Gordon...
Wait, the Colts lost?
Yes, the Colts lost.
No!
They did indeed. I think Josh Gordon's going to flourish here, and the Patriots got him cheap. The rich get richer, what can I say? The Chiefs, they manhandled the Jags last week. Pat Mahomes didn't have any touchdowns. He had 2 interceptions, but their defense managed to shut down the Jags' offense pretty well, including 4 interceptions of Blake Bortles. It's hard to pick against the Chiefs, but this is feeling like sort of a trap game for them. It's hard to say a trap game, that New England could be a trap game for anybody. But considering how well the Chiefs have played this year and Patriots have struggled from time to time, I think this is a trap game. Brady seems to be locking with Gordon. I think they'll deliver Kansas City their first loss. I'm actually going with New England.
Yeah, the Patriots win, as you so eloquently put it.
Yeah.
Also, you said you never use apostrophes, but there are 5 apostrophes in the middle of this "it's" here.
Oh, that must be a typo.
Yeah, you must be making up for lost apostrophes. Anyway, so hang on. Okay, I just had a massive inspiration. Okay, edit this out. Okay.
I mean, you've got a huge opportunity here. Chiefs versus the Patriots. Come on.
What? Yeah. So, to quote the Declaration of Independence, he, as in the British monarch, has excited domestic insurrections amongst us and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants on our frontiers, the merciless Indian savages whose known rule of warfare is an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions. Now, that's really racist, first of all. I'm not endorsing the Declaration of Independence, but if you want to hear me say it, you can do so at youtube.com/BunBushEmpire. But yeah, so the Chiefs, the British had the okay, so it all started with like the Appalachian Law. I think it was like the Appalachian Doctrine or something, where like Britain made a law that said that no settlers could go west of the Appalachian Mountains because they were like, oh, that area will be, for the Native Americans, and that sounds fair. We're going to like let the Native Americans chill. It's going to be cool. But then settlers like, oh no, we want to have all this land west of the Appalachians. They were super angry about it. So that meant that the British were on the same side as the Native Americans fighting the Patriots. However, historically the Patriots won against the Indians and the Redcoats. However, in this fight, the Native Americans do not have the Redcoats; they just have themselves. And that's this. Patriots win. Oh dear.
Thank you for that. Next up, Monday Night Football: the San Francisco 49ers at the Green Bay Packers. Holy cow! The Packers kicker Mason Crosby missed 4 field goals and 1 point after touchdown. How horrible is that, Tulkas?
Oh, that is holy cow.
And he doesn't even play for the Vikings. Even bigger wow. Aaron Rodgers put up 440 yards with 3 touchdowns and 0 interceptions, and they still lost. What is it with NFC North kickers? They are truly cursed, I think. What do you think? Because it's worth noting, I didn't mention it before, but the Vikings' new kicker missed a field goal as well this week. Anyway, moving on. 49ers, they choked against a bad Cardinals team last week. They racked up some yards, but they kept turning the ball over, and it ultimately cost them the game. Can't do that against a Rodgers-led team. Packers will win.
Okay, so we have our 49ers, are all gold rush bozos. And why are they going to Green Bay, Wisconsin? Did they find their gold?
Either that or they're picking up a order of meat.
Ah, that makes sense. They're going to a Green Bay Packers, and maybe there's like some sort of trade dispute, and now they're fighting. Okay, well, I mean, the 49ers, they don't really need all that meat. I mean, they're used to like, living on the frontier, living off the land. They don't really need all that meat. And they are a pre-industrialized society encountering an industrialized society. However, this industrialized society is not equipped for warfare. So I think it's pretty equal. I don't know. It's pretty difficult because, like, the Green Bay is like on the peninsula, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, they can like fortify the peninsula, and then if the 49ers try to siege them, then like they have enough supplies to outlast them because they have all this meat. Do you see where I'm going here? And then like the 49ers, they're used to fighting in the wilderness, but they can't really construct enough siege equipment to get over this wall. I mean, it's not like they're gonna like try to transport around the wall on Lake Michigan because, I mean, it's Lake Michigan. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're going to get attacked by sleeping bears in the water or what have you.
Yeah, sleeping bears and hike.
So, I think that the Packers will win. What do you think, Fixxxer TV at youtube.com/Fixxxer TV?
Well, I've already stated the Packers will win.
Okay, well, youtube.com/Fixxxer TV or face stabs. I'm going to call you face stabs for the rest of the podcast. Am I allowed to do that?
Since we're on the last game, yes.
Woo!
Last game, the featured game of the week. Seattle Seahawks are at the Oakland Raiders. This is an early Sunday game. This is not the Monday night game. All right, let's talk about. Oh, this is going to be in Wembley Stadium in London. This year. There's another London game next week. I don't remember what the teams are, but yeah, this is a London game. How do you feel about that, Tulkas?
I just don't understand why you'd go to London of all places. Like, why London? Why England?
All right, so when you
why the British? Why the British? Why is Morocco getting football? Morocco doesn't like football. All Morocco cares about is booze.
Well, okay, so whenever you ask a question that involves why in the NFL, the answer is always money. It always is money. It's as simple as that. So we got two teams here, the Seahawks and the Raiders, who are both, by the way, seafaring creatures, so they can make it to London without issue. In 1972, we're going to talk about how they got their names before we talk about the game.
I don't know. I mean, Raiders, that doesn't suggest that they're equipped with ocean-going vessels. And I mean, I can't imagine Seahawks being able to make that long a journey without stopping off to land somewhere.
Well, don't most birds kind of like find ships and kind of bunny hop over the ocean?
I mean, I don't think so, but I don't know enough about migratory birds. So, go on.
In 1972, a group of businessmen announced that they were going to acquire a football team and then move them to Seattle. Instead, in 1974, they were awarded a team in Seattle. The name was chosen after a public naming contest. They had 20,000 entries, and only 1.7K of those entries were unique. How about those apples, Tulkas?
So you could have said they were going to settle them in Seattle. Get it?
Yes. The Seahawks name was used by a minor league hockey team in Seattle back in the 50s. That's the one that won. The name
and
stuck, and it's been that way since.
They're Brian's favorite team, Fixxxer. They're Brian's favorite team. Do you know Brian at youtube.com?
Well, didn't he once live there?
Yeah, he used to live in Seattle. He was always going on in exploration and tactics about, the Seahawks.
Well, there you go. Moving on to the Oakland Raiders, a contest was held in 1960 to name Oakland's team, and the Seniors won. How do you feel about that?
That sounds foreign.
Well, it was, and that's why it was chosen, because of the Hispanic population over there.
Oh, that's cool. I like diversity. Fixxxer, will you be my diverse friend? You could be my token black friend.
I'm up for the challenge.
Cool.
However, the name was made fun of so badly over the next whatever month or two that they decided to not go with the name. How crazy is that?
Oh, why was it made fun of?
Are you seriously asking why a Hispanic name was made fun of in the 1960s?
Oh, but the 1960s were such a peaceful and diverse time.
For some people.
Yeah.
So they went with the Raiders instead, as it was one of the finalists along with the Seniors in the contest. The Lakers were also a finalist. They were almost the Oakland Lakers. How would you feel about that?
Oakland. Where is Oakland? That's in California, right?
Yeah, it's on the West Coast. Yeah.
Do they have lakes?
There's a lake or two, I guess, over there. It's important to point out that the Lakers, the Los Angeles Lakers, were not named after lakes around Los Angeles. It was originally a team in Minnesota, which you can kind of understand why they would be called Lakers then.
Minnesota is the weirdest state in the whole country. Okay, cool beans.
Well, it's the land of 10,000 lakes, isn't it?
Well, Weirta said that Finland was the land of 10,000 lakes, so there.
All right, well, point proven. Anyways, Lakers were finalists, but they ultimately decided on the Raiders in 1980. They moved the team to Los Angeles, and then in I got a wrong year here. It says 85, but it was 95. In 1995, they then moved the team back to Oakland, where they remain.
Cool.
The Raiders, let's talk about the game. The Raiders have a turnstile on their offensive line, which will not be fun facing Seattle. The Seahawks put up a good fight against the Rams, much better than I expected. But they are without Earl Thomas now. I don't think that's going to be a problem, though, versus the Raiders. Seahawks will win.
Did you misspell turnstile, or is that something different?
No, that's what he is.
Really? I saw the turn, like a subway turnstile?
Yeah.
But that's I instead of Y.
All right, let's run with it.
It's a mechanical gate consisting of revolving horizontal arms fixed to a vertical post, allowing only one person at a time to pass through. Yeah, it's turnstile. What's an I? So why do they have a gate on their team?
Because their offensive line is awful, and one of their players, who was it? I don't remember their name. One of their players gave up 3 sacks last week alone. And in other words, I'm saying that they're not blocking much of anybody from getting to the quarterback.
Oh, I don't get it. But okay. So we have the Seahawks versus the Raiders. So, maybe the Raiders are out, and then they're
in London, Wembley Stadium.
Right, they're in London, White. That's different. So will they be sailing up the Thames?
I have no idea.
So yeah, they're sailing up the Thames in their little longboat. That's something they would do back in the day. That's something they would do. Raid London. I'm pretty sure. And then the Seahawks will be swooping down and be like, "Oh no, you don't raid London in my watch, woo!" So then, they're gonna battle. I don't know. I think that this is again similar to the Vikings versus Cardinals, and I gave the Vikings the win. However, I think that the Seahawks, they're more powerful, and the Raiders probably, unlike the Vikings, are less used to, all-out conflict. They're mostly used to just, being able to intimidate the local populace and get whatever they want. I don't know, I think that, with the blessing of Brian Lorgon111 at youtube.com/Lorgon111, the Seahawks will win.
Well, there you go. We agree.
Cool. Now, before we end the episode, there's something I would like to address, is that I have not left one of the teams this week for Diesel's pick. As you know.
Oh, you don't trust him any more now that he cost you a point?
What we're going to do this week is we're going to let Diesel himself pick a game that he thinks I'm wrong at. He's going to be able to overwrite one of my suggestions with a team of his own choosing.
All right, I'm going to go down your list, and I'm going to take a wild guess which one that will be. He's probably going to go with the Cowboys again. Dude, Tulkas, you picked almost all the same teams I did.
I picked that the Cowboys would win, though. So why would he pick that the Cowboys would win if I?
Oh, you did indeed. All right. So it won't be that one. So it's either going to be, I'm gonna guess he'll probably pick Philadelphia over the Giants then.
Ooh, well, we're just going to have to see.
Or Carolina over the Redskins. He's gonna probably pick one of those.
Okay? And remember to give us a pet name for little Dieselkins, a little Donald Graff, the brave little toaster from another generation.
There you go.
How old is Diesel?
I don't know.
Okay, we're going to have to...
He's between you and I.
Really? Ooh, that's cool. So he's like an old person. He's a little elderly daughter. Oh, he's so cute. Okay.
There you go. All right, that's it for the podcast this week. Thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you next Wednesday or Thursday.
Bye, everyone!